The World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker. Guaranteed.
Mike, wake up, it's showtime.
Are we really going to do this?
Oh, we gotta do it. Pick it up. Look. 1, 2, 3! It's a slump. It's the worst. Let's just wrap this. Let's exercise.
I got a better idea.
What?
I'll show you on the rock.
All right.
What do you say, Rock?
Rocky. Yeah. Yeah. Yo. Come on, Mike. Go! Hit! Come on. This is it, Mike.
I'm an old man.
Yeah, take a shot. All right, I'm gonna give you 20 seconds to the top. You ready?
For 100, you got a bet.
All right, go, sir. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 20. I'm going. Good luck. Yeah! That's the workout. That's it. We did it. Yo, Andrew!
Well, the crowd all standing.
He is circling the drain.
They are going bare knuckles in the center of the ring.
He would love to knock this loudmouth out.
Welcome back to our in-depth coverage of the Parks Open Poker Classic here in Philadelphia. I'm Kimberly Lansing, and as always, I'm joined by our esteemed commentators Mike Sexton and Vince Van Patten. Guys, it looks like the city of brotherly love really inspired you.
And well, Kimberly, certainly Vince had a great idea for us getting in shape while we were here in Philly. But I'd like to say a couple things. Number one, he didn't give me enough of a spot going up the rocky steps. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, I got sore knuckles from pounding that meat. Boy, that was tough.
Well, you were faster than I thought, that was for sure. The weird thing about him is he wanted to eat the steak after it fell to the floor, but that's another story. Forget about that. No, but we did get in shape, but moderation is key. And, you know, we may go back to the Twinkie diet after this.
The guy snores, I got to tell you.
Don't get into it.
All right, let's get down to business here. What do we look for moving forward?
Well, the three guys that came to this final table as our chip leaders, Stephen Reynolds, Anthony Gregg, and Chris Lee, are still sitting in first, second, and third place. But I think the guys in second and third have more poker pedigree, meaning more experience. They've won more money. I think they're going to be the guys to beat tonight.
Yeah, these guys are as good as anybody in the world today going after a huge title. And you got to love the guy that they call the fish tank. We still don't understand quite what it means. Oh, what a great nickname. This is going to be great. Great entertainment.
All right, we have word that the cards are about to go back into the air, so let's get down to the table.
Well, 5 players left. Stephen Reynolds out in front with 4.3 million. Anthony Gregg in second place. Chris Lee in third. There you see what they're playing for. The winner tonight going to take home over $416,000, as well as get that WPT entry into the WPT World Championship at Bellagio at the end of the season.
Okay, Andy's 5,000. Blinds 20 and 40. A quick fold by Chris Lee and Anthony Gregg. And now Larry Sharp with King Jack of Diamonds is going to raise to 80,000. Fish tank out. Stephen Reynolds has called with Ace 8.
Larry played basketball at Allegheny College. Was a former high school assistant coach for a while.
The flop is a 7-3 deuce.
And quickly checked by the pre-flop raiser, Stephen.
4 diamonds there for Larry Sharp. Yep, and Larry's going to bet 95,000 with the 4 flush.
Oh, look at this. Stephen's going to check raise here, Vince.
240.
He's going to represent strength that he doesn't have.
Whoa, makes it 240,000 to go.
Now, Vince, Larry He's just going to ship it here with the flush draw.
And a quick fold by Steven Reynolds. Can't take the heat.
The former basketball player in college dribbled right through the traffic there, Vince. Took down that pot nicely.
It wasn't a big pot. No.
These guys are opening up their games. Look at that look by Mr. Sharp. And right here, we're going to take a look at the Wondercam. Oh, wow.
Nice hand.
Flush would have happened for Larry Sharp.
I was gonna do something either pre-flop or post-flop.
It was getting pushed. It was going in.
Either on both?
On both, so.
I mean, then I either 3-bet fold there or I check raise the flop.
Yeah. I didn't have air to tell you that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought I had the best hand. I do not. If you snap shove it in my face, probably.
All right, onto this hand. Our chip leader looks down at an ace-8. He's going to make it 80,000.
Well, Steven check raised with the ace-8 a minute ago. That didn't work out, but he raises the next hand with it.
Chris Lee with a king-queen. They call him Genius 28. Will make the call. Anthony Gregg out. And look, Fish Tank has picked up a pair of threes and also will call Mike.
Well, I'd call too with the 2 threes there. Three-way action.
And here we go.
Now flop comes 9, 7, 6. Steven now with an open-in straight draw.
Yeah, Fish Tank with a quick check.
115.
The chip leader going to bet with the open-ended. 115,000 to go.
Hard for anybody to call.
Yeah, Genius can't, and Fish Tank can't as well.
So nice continuation bet there with the open-ended straight draw by Steven, and he takes down the pot. Well, his brother Garrett is a 5-time BMX champion at the X Games. Won 5 gold medals. Tonight, Steven trying to put some gold on the mantle.
I'm definitely a naturally high-strung guy. Definitely have lots of energy, and I mean, that energy can go any which way. Got it? The thing that I probably like most about poker is the mental challenge for me, and honestly, it's the only thing that wears me down at any point. The only thing that takes enough energy that at the end of the day it wears me down, so it's perfect for me.
Horrible laugh, but a great poker player. Steven Reynolds.
Can't have everything.
And he's loving the experience here tonight. He is a chip leader with 4.3 million.
Anthony Gregg right in his heels, however, with 4.2 million.
And the winner's going to take home 416,000 out of Philadelphia here tonight. Let's go to the felt. Larry Sharp, former high school basketball coach. An uneventful 9-deuce. He folds that hand.
Over to the Fish Tank. He's got the king, queen of diamonds. He's going to raise it up. Makes it 80,000 to go.
Oh, but look at this.
210.
Steven picks up kings, goes to 210. Quick fold by Chris and Anthony.
So back to the Fish Tank.
What a time to get kings.
Yeah, another 130,000 for him to call.
Now look at this. This is a... Oh, they also call Fish Tank Big Sexy.
Big sexy. Yeah.
Do you find him sexy, Mike?
I think the Fish Tank is more appropriate.
Okay. Well, he's got a big decision here, but look at this. He's going to re-raise.
Wow, he is 4-betting here with king high.
Yeah, like 1.5 behind.
And he's up against 2 kings.
Maybe a little more.
Not good for the Fish Tank.
Yeah, about 1.5.
Fish Tank could be cracked here.
The fish is heading toward the hook here, Vince.
600.
Wow.
There you go.
Re-popped. You think Fish Tank will get the message? Yes, he does. He's got to lay it down. So a big pot for Steven Reynolds. And there is Steven's other brother, Nathan, who's enjoying the moment.
Plenty more to come from Philadelphia and the Parks Open Poker Classic. And later, we'll see how Mike, Vince, and the Royal Flush girls enjoyed their day at the races here at Parks. And Tony Dunst is on board, ready to break down tonight's action in a new installment of The Raw Deal. Lots of excitement as our extended coverage of the Parks Open Poker Classic, brought to you by ClubWPT.com, continues. Stick around.
Social poker sites aren't real poker because there's nothing to win. They're just all-in fests. That's why we play real poker on ClubWPT.com, where we can win our share of 100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. Well, we're really enjoying ourselves here at the Parks Racetrack. Beautiful girls like Kelly work here. It is great.
Let's go bet and make some money.
Let's go.
Who do you like?
What's so hard about it? There's only 7 horses. Can't you pick a winner?
Forget about the winner. Let's pick the horse that finishes last.
You don't bet on horses that finish last.
No,
I
sir.
refuse to do it.
Okay.
I'm picking the winner.
Race number 8, we want to bet on number 4 to win.
I'm not ready because I have a few more minutes, so I'm going to study it.
He's too serious about the race trick.
I don't understand it.
You know, he's like one of those poker players take forever to act on their hand. That's what Vince does out here at the track. He waits till the last second, till they're in the gate before he makes a bet. Like something's going to fall out of the sky and tell him who to bet on. Finally, he's going to make a bet. All right, Vinny, what's the magic number?
My friend, I had to go against you.
Okay.
I'm betting the 8.
We are betting on Horse Justice.
Justice?
Run. Yeah.
The winner right here, folks.
That's what I bet.
Number 4, I've already talked to the jockey. You got broke, Vince. You got broke. Here's our man right here. Well, we've sure had a great day here at the Parks Racetrack. Kelly, thank you,
Thank
Parks,
you.
for all your hospitality. It's great here. Come check out Parks.
Oh, man, wouldn't you know it? The Royal Flush girls won all the money that day. That was fun.
Yeah, that was the only ticket I cashed all day, but it was a great time. No doubt about it. Stephen Reynolds out in front with nearly $5 million in chips. Anthony Gregg in second. Chris Lee in third.
Antes of 5,000. Blinds 25 and 50. To the cards we go. Chris Lee. They call him Genius 28 with a quick fold.
There's the Duke graduate. That's why he gets that name.
Anthony Gregg out, and now Larry Sharp, former high school basketball coach, is going to raise to 100,000 with the Queen 8. Right behind him, Fish Tank with Queen 9 has made this call.
And Stephen Reynolds calling as well with the ace-10 of hearts. So 3-way action here. And the flop comes king, queen, deuce. Stephen Reynolds has flopped the nuts, the ace-high flush draw with the royal flush draw.
Just incredible.
Oh, check.
Fish Tank has checked. Oh, and Stephen is going to play it slow. He checks as well.
And they both check to Larry. If you got 2 queens, you might bet here, thinking they're the best hand.
Well, he's got position, and he's going to take a stab at it. 130,000. Fish Tank going to quickly call.
Well, Fish Tank has a flush draw with his 2 queens, but obviously no good. As Stephen Reynolds has flopped the ace-high flush. And here come the raisin chips.
And he's going to put pressure on with the re-raise. Makes it 300,000.
And he's hoping somebody's got a smaller flush.
Larry mucks his hand.
Action back to the Fish Tank. Now he's got 2 queens and the flush draw, but the problem is the guy checked and then check raised in a 3-handed pot here on the flop. So if you're Fish Tank here, you're going to be frozen. It doesn't matter what comes off. If a queen comes off, if a 9 comes off, or if a heart comes off, you're still frozen because you don't know where you're at in the hand.
Well, he's going to speculate. He could be into trouble here. He's called it. 5 of spades on the turn. Fish Tank got a check.
And Stephen
295.
now betting 295,000 into a pot that's got over $1 million in it. We've seen the Fish Tank go with his gut instincts, though. He's not afraid to put his money in the pot if he thinks the guy's taking a stab at it. Fish Tank is on the hook right now. The question is he going to get reeled in? All right. No, he's going to give it up. And the man says, all right. He shows you the queen. Didn't show him the heart.
And that is Stephen Reynolds' brother, Nathan, who forgot to wear his shirt tonight. Getting very excited there.
Well, he knows the brother's going to make some cash tonight. Might loan him a little to buy a shirt.
All right. Back to the next hand. Larry Sharp with 5s has raised to 100,000.
I call.
Fish Tank out. Stephen with ace-5 is going to call.
Well, the men raise, you can see, a popular raise by all these young guys.
Everybody else out of the way. So 5s versus ace-5, and we are flopping 2 10s and a jack. Larry first to act. And make a continuation bet.
Those kind of cards are scary. When your opponent doesn't re-raise before the flop but calls you.
He's taking a lot of time, and now he finally checks.
Both players check. Now the 6 of spade comes off, so Larry has the best hand and the best draw.
Larry's going to check again. Steven checks behind him.
Well, again, it goes check, check.
And the river card, a big ace. Steven Reynolds hitting aces right there on the river.
It sure is. Gives him the best hand with aces up now.
But Larry's just going to fade away as he checks here.
Well, he's checked for a 3rd time. Steven,
140.
very happy to hit the ace on the river. Is going to bet. Going to take down that pot.
So Steven Reynolds extends his chip lead. It's the delight of this crowd.
You had one on every street except for the river.
Oh, look at that. Little salt in the wound there, Vince. Says you had me all the way till the river. You should have been betting, pal.
Well, we are having a great time here at Parks. Now remember, when you come to a live WPT event, you can meet Mike, Kimberly, the Royal Flush Girls, and myself, and ClubWPT.com VIP members get preferred seating at the Royal Flush Girls social bar. All right, back to the action. Quick fold by Fish Tank.
Can't tell you exactly.
I know.
Steven Reynolds now picks up a pair of 9s. He's going to raise it, making 100,000 to go.
But Genius 28 with a pair of deuces has made the call behind him. Anthony and Larry out, so two-way action.
And flop comes king, 10-8. Steven checks the 2 9s on the flop. So Chris, thinking he might just have ace high or maybe a pair of 7s that might get away from him. If he bets, does just that.
Yeah, well, he's been called. That was 115 going to the turn. And a 10 pairs the board. Steve's going to check again. Genius 28 due here, just with deuces, and he's going to slow down, take a free card, basically giving up, but he hits the deuce.
I check.
He now has deuces full. I'm talking about Chris Lee. Steven checks the 9s again.
Oh boy, show tunes going off in your head, how to play it.
Well, it looks like an absolute nothing card on the river. A deuce, and it was the joker for Chris Lee.
Just one value for it. Figure out exactly how much you can extract from your victim. Genius 28. What will that number be?
Well, there's 530,000 in the pot. The number's going to be 315,000. And I think the way this hand was played, because Chris checked on the turn, going to be tough to lay down the 9s. But Steven lays down the 2 9s. What a lay down that is, Ben. I don't know that I could have laid him down. I mean, you have to essentially put your opponent on a king to lay down 2 9s there.
Really didn't want to fold. Said really didn't want to fold.
You said ace high?
Point was, whatever I had, I really didn't want to fold.
You folded pretty quick for a guy who really didn't want to fold.
Well, great action here at our first televised event of season 11. And all season long, we're going to look back at some of the greatest moments of WPT's epic season 10, which included a fantastic competition for Player of the Year.
The race for season 10 Player of the Year started with Will the Thrill Fiala taking down the title at the Legends of Poker. With cashes at Borgata and 5 Diamond, the always spirited Will held the lead for Player of the Year. At mid-season, young pro Joe Sirach would jump ahead of Will by taking 3rd place at back-to-back final tables.
Kind of crazy.
Down but not out, Will was determined to win Player of the Year.
It's up for grabs for anybody. They got to come with this.
He made the final table at Jacksonville, but went out in a disappointing 6th place. That finish, however, put him back in the lead, but by a very narrow margin. It would all come down to the WPT World Championship. Going into the event, there were 75 players who could pass Will the Thrill and take the Player of the Year title. Will busted early in the tournament and could only sit and sweat out the results.
I'm sweating profusely right now. There were 13 people that could still pass me for Player of the Year.
As fate would have it, it would be the quiet young pro Joe Sirach that would crush Will's dream. With an impressive 10th place finish, Joe locked up his place in poker history.
I'm very excited, obviously. It's pretty crazy. I didn't think I was going to take it back.
The season 10 Player of the Year, Joe Sirach, and creating one of the season's greatest moments.
I'm Danielle, one of the Royal Flush Girls. Stay tuned for more World Poker Tour.
The WPT Foundation is dedicated to supporting great charities around the world. Now, you can help the WPT Foundation raise money for some great global causes. Check out all the incredible prizes, trips, and VIP experiences available through our online auctions at WPTFoundation.org.
It's weird, but because people think that poker is just about sort of the strategic element of the game, but really I think there's a lot of, I'd call them soft skills, understanding bankroll management, understanding emotional control. You just accrue life experience when you're in college, and then you come out and you're a little bit older, you know, you're a little bit wiser, and I think maybe you're better prepared to deal with sort of the mental, emotional swings that come with poker. I think finishing school can help you, but you know, it helped me, I know that.
Please join me in welcoming our players. In C3, Chris Lee.
Well, Vance, that was very well said by Chris Lee there. No question about it. And when you graduate from Duke, you are a little brighter and smarter than the rest.
Well, he's got some chips here, 3.1. But our chip leader right now, Steven Reynolds. They call him Sizzling Better, is the chip leader still. Let's go to the felt. Anthony Gregg picks up the weapons of mass destruction, just like that. The pair of aces. Look at that.
And he makes the men raise with the aces, just like he does any other two cards.
I don't doubt any of this.
3 folds. Now Anthony's hoping against hope. He gets action, and he's going to get some by Chris Lee. Genius 28 with just 6-3 of clubs.
Yeah, got one of those hands you're just looking to hit a flop with, or you might crack somebody. Well, it comes 10-8-8. No help for Chris there. He checks.
Thanks for the follow.
Anthony with the huge pair, going to stick out just 75 as a little teaser.
Oh, Vance, look at this. Well, we know he's not going to call. He's either going to fold or raise to try to steal the pot. This could be doomed for the Dookie here if he's not careful.
Yeah, he's going to try to get creative with a nothing hand and re-raise. 205. Anthony's saying to himself, does this guy possibly have an 8, or is he just messing around? But he's going to call.
You're always afraid he's got an 8. You're hoping he's got some kind of drawing hand. Now a 10 comes off. That's not a good card either, in case his opponent had just 10s before, because now we would have a full house. Well, Chris Lee's parents in the house rooting for their son tonight.
And action on Chris. Genius 28 is going to slow down. He checks.
Many players would check right now with the 2 aces here, but if your opponent had something like a Jack-9 or a 9-7 suited, you wouldn't want to give him a free draw. Or if they had a pair of 3s, for example, you wouldn't want to give him a free draw to beat you. Anthony Gregg is going to bet.
Yeah, 215,000, and he's going to chase Genius 28 away.
Anthony Gregg, the only player at this final table who re-entered this tournament, meaning he got busted on day 1A. He re-entered on day 2. You're allowed to do that here at Parks, and obviously it was a wise reinvestment for him.
Here's something, Mike. The biggest bargain in the world is playing poker on ClubWPT.com. You play, you have a shot, you can get out on the World Poker Tour in the big time.
Well, you're right, Finch. You got a chance to win over $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. You can win seats at WPT events where you're playing for big-time money. In the Parks Open Poker Classic, we had 2 ClubWPT.com qualifiers.
Yeah, we did.
That was Freddie Peralta from San Diego and Eric Steinbergen from Crestwood, Kentucky. What an experience our 2 ClubWPT.com qualifiers had here at Parks. You can do it too. Join ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
Right now, we're going back down to the felt here in Philadelphia at Parks.
All right, and right now, Steven Reynolds, they call him Sizzling Better, is the chip leader with 5.3 million. And the fish tank, Chris Van Dersen, is down to the short stack with about 900,000. Action going to Anthony Gregg. He's got just a Jack-8, folds his hand.
All in.
They're out as well. And Chris moving all in with the ace-6 of diamonds on the button. I would do the same thing against the 2 blinds with his chip stack.
9.
Steven with a king-jack, folds his hand, but Chris,
wow, I'm glad I did it.
with ace-king, has made the call, and it's a great one.
Sure is. It was also a good laydown by Steven to lay down the king-jack. Well, the fish tank on his feet, his tournament life on the line here.
You gotta put the diamond, 2 diamonds up, right?
I'll take a lot of pain.
Small sweat.
A little bit unlucky the big blind wakes up with ace-king, but the Fish Tank has to get lucky to live on in this tournament. Parks, his home casino, plays here all the time. Got a lot of fans rooting for him. Very jovial guy, but right now, the Fish Tank is on the hook.
Flop comes up 8-4-3, all hearts.
You gotta put the 5 up at least.
Fish Tank, they also call him Big Sexy. Not looking that attractive at the moment.
Take the king of clubs.
As his hand fizzles away.
I mean, I got 5 red cards. Isn't that a flush?
And an 8 on the turn pairs the board.
That's exciting. All right, I'm okay with that turn. I'm okay with it.
Fish Tank needs a 6 to win the pot, but would split it with a 3 or 4.
Can I get a black 3 one time?
The water is overflowing in the Fish Tank. It is moving around.
Oh, boy, the tank is cracking.
Can he get lucky? Here's the river card. It's a deuce. Not going to help Fish Tank.
So that's going to do it for Chris Van Dersen. They call him Fish Tank. Good sport. The local guy from Philly finishes in 5th place.
Well, he's a very colorful character. He has to say goodnight. Going to take home $76,000, and right now he's going over to talk to Matt Savage.
Chris, a good run here. You're taking home $76,000. You don't usually play tournaments. You know, what was it like to have this experience for you this week?
It was cool, you know. I mean, it was my home casino. Like to play. Had fun. You know, great players.
They're calling you the Fish Tank, but what is this Team Big Sexy all about?
You know, I mean, look at me, obviously. It claimed itself.
All right, well, it's been great fun to have you all week. Hopefully have you back on the World Poker Tour.
Thanks a lot, man.
Congratulations. Back to you, Kimberly.
And there you have it. Hometown favorite Chris Van Dersen is out in 5th place. WPT's extended coverage of the final table here in Philadelphia continues with 4 players right after this.
Welcome back to Philadelphia and the Parks Open Poker Classic.
And we'd like to welcome a new sponsor for the World Poker Tour, and that is Vegas.com.
Yeah, we're glad to have them on board. From hotels to shows, Vegas.com, a great place to plan your next trip to Las Vegas.
That's right, Vegas.com. Do Vegas right.
Well, the Parks Open Poker Classic is the first televised WPT stop of season 11. Earlier this week, the WPT held a non-televised event in the Mediterranean at the Merit Crystal Cove Hotel and Casino in Cyprus. Mad Marvin Rettenmeyer made history by winning that event right on the heels of taking down the season 10 WPT World Championship. The first time any player has won back-to-back WPT titles. It also puts Marvin in the lead for the WPT Player of the Year race. Marvin did play here at Parks, but he busted on day 1B, meaning whoever wins here in Philly will automatically tie Marvin for the early lead in the WPT Player of the Year race. All season long, we'll be tracking the race for the Player of the Year trophy and keeping you up to date on who is in the lead. In the meantime, let's get back to the action here in Philly with Mike and Vince.
4 players are left fighting it out for this title. Whoever does win will join all the other great champions and have their name permanently engraved on the WPT Champions Cup.
That is right, and the antes are now up to 10,000 blinds, 30 and 60,000. Action on Chris Lee, Genius 28. First to play, he's got ace-5.
When you're playing short-handed poker, ace-5s are pretty good hands. Chris knows it. He's going to raise it.
120 to go. Anthony Gregg right behind him with a real hand, pair of jacks.
Well, we know he's going to play the pot. The question is he going to call or raise? And he just calls with 2 jacks to camouflage the strength of his hand.
Yeah, Larry and Steven fold their hands, so two-way action, ace-5 up against jacks. Here we go.
Now, flop comes 5-4-4. It looks to be a good flop for Chris. He's got 2 pair with top kicker right now. Again, if you're in Anthony's seat, do you just call or do you raise? He opted to call pre-flop, and he's going to call again on the flop.
Very dangerous. Hoping against hope. Overcard doesn't show up, and it doesn't. Just a 6 of hearts. Pretty benign. And Chris is going to slow down with a check.
Well, Anthony now going to take the lead. He's going to bet $235,000. If you're sitting in Chris's seat, you know the guy called you before the flop, called you on the flop. So even if he had a 6-7, his 2 6s would now beat your 2 5s. So I'm a little puzzled by this call by Chris Lee here. What hand could he possibly beat?
Well, he has made the call, and a king of hearts on the river. Now there's flushes possible, a big overcard, a pair on the board, and Chris is going to check. Anthony Gregg now can't really like that king popping up there.
Hey, you're just not going to put a guy in a king-queen. He wouldn't be calling all that way.
He's going to bet, nevertheless.
1.4.
But look at this.
Wow, a quick check raised by Chris Lee to 1.4 million. And this is going to put a lot of heat on Anthony Gregg right here. And right now, Anthony's giving him that speech that we've all done at times. Why did I bet that on the river? Now, what do you do if you're Anthony Gregg? Virtually all you can beat is a bluff here.
Well, it's an additional 900,000. This would be the call of the night if he should do so, but not easy.
A guy check raise you with 3 hearts out there, a possible straight and a pair.
Call.
And an overcard. Tough to call, but Anthony Gregg has done it. And he is going to win this pot. What a play by Anthony Gregg right there to make that call with 2 jacks. That is playing some poker, but you got to admire Chris Lee for taking a shot there. Thought he could get him off a hand like that. I think he put him exactly on that hand. 2 9s, 2 10s, 2 jacks. Thought a check raise would get him off of it with the possible flush out there, the king overcard, etc., etc. Anthony Gregg was not buying it, and I can tell you, he's about to get another tweet from Michael Phelps. Great play, my man.
Anthony cannot suppress the smile. He is excited. All right, back to this hand. Larry with a quick fold.
Feeling like a check feels good. You know what I'm
And
saying?
now Stephen Reynolds with a nice hand. Ace, queen of diamonds.
Oh, look at this, Vince. He just limps in on the button with the ace-queen suited. Chris Lee calling a half a bet out of the small blind with king high. And Anthony just happy to see a flop here. Got the suited connectors, a 9-8 of hearts. A flop comes king 9-6.
Wow, Chris Lee picking up kings with a bad kicker. He's first to act. He's going to stick out a bet of 100,000.
He's got top pair.
Anthony Gregg now with 9s, though.
And he's got second pair. He's going to make the call. And look at this. Steven is going to make the call with no hand and no draw.
He's going to speculate. Turn cards, 8 of diamonds. That's a 4 flush now for Steven. And Chris Lee going to bet 300,000 with his top pair.
Well, he is not dogging it here. Thinks the kings are the best hand, and he's betting.
Anthony will go out.
Well, I'm surprised. Anthony threw away 2 pair there. 9s and 8s he just threw away.
I'm all in.
Oh, and look at this, Vince. He's moved all in. Well, this is called the semi-bluff play. So when you have a flush draw or a straight draw, and you just move over the top all in, hoping the guy throws his hand away. Well, Vince, you're not going to put the guy on any kind of a set because he would have raised on the button had he had a pair. That didn't happen. He limped in on the button. And now all of a sudden, he is going to raise on the turn here when the 8 pops off. This is an amazing hand. Anthony Gregg didn't even hesitate to throw the 9s and 8s away. And this guy moves all in with ace high.
Well, genius 28 would be a genius if he should make this call. And nope, he's going to fold the hand. So Stephen Reynolds is going to rob him there.
Unbelievable.
That's good. That's
Look at this. Chris Lee says, I should have called.
Got to take a look at the Wonder Cam, Mike, see what happens. Jack of clubs, so Chris Lee would have doubled up in a huge way.
Just didn't want to risk his tournament life. Nice all-in bet by Steven there to take down the point.
While the action here is heating up, Tony Dunst has been gearing up to give his 2 cents in the raw deal, brought to you by ClubWPT.com. It's coming up. Go away.
Season 11 of the World Poker Tour is brought to you by ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can win their share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. ClubWPT.com. Never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. This episode of the World Poker Tour is brought to you in part by Blue Shark Optics, the official poker eyewear of the WPT, and Vegas.com. Vegas.com. Do Vegas right.
Welcome back to Philadelphia and the Parks Open Poker Classic. Tony Dunst has been keeping an eye on the action at this final table and is ready to call it like it is in this edition of The Raw Deal.
You know that character in action movies that stands there silently, ominously, while everyone fights around him, waiting for the perfect moment to unleash his supreme and devastating skills on his opponents? In poker, that's Anthony Gray. His quiet and professional demeanor might not be the stuff that compels fans, but his skill is the stuff that professionals fear. So what makes him so talented? Let's break it down. The hand begins with Chris raising ace-5 on the cutoff and Anthony calling on the button with jacks. I think in some cases, Anthony would re-raise here with the intention of 5-betting against a 4-bet, but I think he elected to call here in hopes of inducing a shorter stacked Larry Sharp to shove from the small blind. Larry decides to do no such thing with 10 high, and we see a heads-up flop between Anthony and Chris. The 4-4-5 flop looks pretty good to both players. Chris bets and Anthony calls. The turn is the 6 of hearts, bringing a flush draw. Chris knows there's not much value to be had by betting, so he checks and decides to call the 1/3 pot bet from Anthony. When the river completes the backdoor flush draw with the king of hearts, things get interesting. Chris checks and Anthony fires a value bet of $500,000 into a pot of $1.1 million. Chris comes to the conclusion that his hand is almost never good, but also correctly reads that Anthony is likely betting a medium strength hand. He knows there's very few hands Anthony would call with pre-flop that contain a 4, and that pocket 5s are less likely with his holding one of those 5s. He also knows that Anthony can't have the nut flush because he's holding the ace of hearts himself, meaning he has 2 blockers to some of the strongest potential hands in Anthony's range. When Chris puts all these pieces together, he decides to make a daring play and check raise to $1.4 million.
1.4?
It's a strong play, and the smaller raise size is even selected to make it look as though he's trying to get value. Now it's Anthony's turn to think things over. He knows Chris's value range for this river check raise is comprised of flushes and full houses. He likely believes that Chris would elect to bet on the turn with most flush draws instead of check call, making those holdings improbable. He also likely believes that Chris would bet pocket kings on the turn, and that he would sometimes still bet the turn when he already had a boat, like 5s or 6s full. As a result, the only holdings Anthony thinks Chris might have are pocket 5s or pocket 6s that took an unusual line. In the end, Anthony decides it's more likely a capable player like Chris is bluffing than going for value in a strange way.
Cool.
So he makes the call and discovers he's won the pot.
What a play by Anthony Gregg right there to make that call with 2 jacks.
And as much as he wanted to maintain the professional facade he wears at the table, he just couldn't help but smile about that one.
Well, Vince, in my mind, he should have smiled about that hand. A terrific call with the 2 jacks.
That is right, but right now, it's all about Steven Reynolds. They call him Sizzling Better. He's the chip leader with 6.7 in chips.
Definitely sizzling right now.
Anthony Gregg back on him. Anthony looks down, and an uneventful 4-deuce will fold that. And now Larry Sharp folds the hand. Steven now with king 8.
150.
Has raised to 150.
All in.
Chris Lee, Genius 28, has pushed all in with an ace high.
It's close. I mean, if you're smart enough. What's it? You said it's like 1.2 exactly.
He's got Steven Reynolds mumbling to himself.
Yeah, it's going to cost him over $1 million to make this call, Vince. I just don't think you can double up a guy as tough as Chris Lee with a marginal hand like this. He's made the call. He has done it.
I
Wow.
thought there was honestly a possibility king 8 would be ahead, and I figured it's hard for me not to be 40%. And honestly, you're a pretty damn good player. I want to kind of make you race me out.
I just wish you had king 9.
You get what I'm saying?
Oh boy, not really.
Good luck, man.
I will not say that back to you.
Go a little nutty on us here, but maybe he'll get lucky. He has a chance of knocking out Chris Lee.
Chris Lee just too tough a player. What's come Jack 8-5, he's taking the lead, so maybe Steven knows what he's doing after all.
Who's the genius around here? Steven so far as he outflops Chris Lee.
You gonna fold an ace or not?
No.
I guess you guys didn't fold an ace.
Definitely not. If you're gonna fold the ace on the line, if I'm calling with worse.
Incredible. Here we go with a turn.
There's
Chris Lee has retaken the lead with 1 card to go.
I thought I was gonna get there. I don't know if he's gonna re-get there, but I really thought.
Now it's Steven Reynolds that has to catch a card. Needs a king or an 8 to eliminate Chris Lee from the tournament.
Well, those aces hold up. Here comes the river card.
King 8.
6 of clubs.
So Chris Lee gonna double up there. And Vince, in my mind, he's just too tough a player to give an extra $1 million worth of chips to.
1.195.
Just didn't like that spot to make that call.
Wow. Very dramatic poker.
The Parks Open Poker Classic is the first televised event of season 11. Recently, the WPT held a number of regional events across the United States, as well as national tournaments held around the world. We'd like to congratulate those winners and remind you that the schedule of all our upcoming competitions can be found at WPT.com. Now, let's get back to the action here in Philly.
This time, Steven Reynolds with his hand, king, queen of hearts, has bumped it. 125 to go. Chris Lee out. But Anthony Gregg with an ace-4 has called it. Now into Larry Sharp.
Oh, he's got ace-jack of diamonds. He's on the short stack here. He could well ship it right here, Vince.
Exactly what he's going to do. He has plunged all in.
I'm all in.
And Steven Reynolds behind him says all in.
Wow. Well, he's gambling here. Maybe because he was hot the last hand, going to try it again. Who knows? But right now, Larry Sharp out in front with the ace-jack of diamonds with a great shot for him to double up.
Steven Reynolds once again a slight dog.
I don't know. We're four-handed. We his 24 big blinds raise call.
Well, he's got his certain philosophy.
Well, Steven Reynolds just had a big chip lead a minute ago. He just doubled up Chris Lee. May double up Larry Sharp right here.
Aces and jacks for Larry Sharp. Beautiful flop for him.
When he's got 2 pair, obviously Steven can catch a 10 and make a straight that would win. He can also backdoor a hard flush and win. But right now, Larry Sharp in great shape to more than double up here.
Yes, feeling like a winner, but anything can happen. And wow, 7 of hearts.
Let's do this. That's a good one.
Never easy, and Steven very happy with that card.
I got the heart.
He knows he can now win with any heart. Now, the jack of hearts wouldn't win it for him, but that would give his opponent a full house. But
should be an ugly, ugly beat here for Larry Sharp.
Oh, wow! What a brutal beat for Larry Sharp right there. 2 runners to make a flush after he flopped the top 2 pair. Larry Sharp out in 4th place on a horrid beat.
Well, he'll take home $108,000 and a bad beat story. And right now he's going over to talk to Matt Savage. Whoa.
Larry, obviously a tough beat there with the runner. But you had a good night tonight. This is your biggest live cash. I know you play a lot online.
Yeah.
What's it like to play with these guys out there?
It was a really good experience. I mean, Final Four especially, like, very, very tough. Got it in good. I can't do anything about it.
Congratulations on your score.
Thanks a lot.
And I'm sure we can see you again on the World Poker Tour. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kimberly, back to you.
All right, thanks, Matt. Larry Sharp out in 4th place, and what a rough way to go. Mike and Vince, I mean, what do you make of the scene tonight?
Well, tough luck for Larry Sharp there, no doubt about it. But when the smoke is cleared, we're down to 3 players, and it's the same 3 players that came to the final table in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd chip position. They're in that exact same order as they're going to fight it out for this title. What a finish this should be.
Can't believe it's amazing. There's lots of pushing and shoving and calling and catching going on. Lots of gambling. They are ready to really gamble, step it up. 3 players remain. It's going to be a fantastic final.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of this hour's coverage of the Parks Open Poker Classic here in Philadelphia. Please join us next time for more of the WPT's continuing coverage and the conclusion of this competition, brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Until then, for Mike Sexton, Vince Van Patten, the Royal Flush Girls, Matt Savage, and the whole WPT team, I'm Kimberly Lansing saying thanks for watching. Good night.
I don't understand what this is for here.